Hey, what's up and welcome back to Cosmic Nebula. So hopefully today this will be a very short video because I want to react to one single video on this Instagram. It popped up in my discovery page randomly, and as a person who has lived overseas for years and I currently still live overseas as an expat, I wanted to comment on this topic. So this Black American woman, she goes to Vienna, Austria, and she basically goes there, and one of her complaints about why she will never go back is because she didn't see any Black people in Vienna, Austria. And as a person that has lived overseas as a Black person for a very long time, this is the type of Black person that I avoid as a Black person that lives in a foreign country. So recently I have recorded and edited a couple of videos regarding Black people, Black culture in America. One of them is about the Carnival Cruise debacle, and then the other one is about just general Black fatigue and my opinion on that as a Black person. And I don't know when those videos will come out in relation to this video. So there is the case that I might reiterate some of the points that I make in those two videos in this video, but it can't be helped because I want to be able to make sure my opinion is explained fully so that it is not misunderstood by anybody that didn't see those other videos yet. But let's watch the video first, and then I will go on probably like a 20-minute breakdown about why I don't like this video, why I don't like these type of people, why specifically I don't like these type of Black people, and what I specifically don't like about these types of Black people. So let's watch the video. And the video is titled as Why as a Black Person I Wouldn't Go Back to Vienna, Austria. And this is a travel blog Instagram page.
Why as a Black person I wouldn't go back to Vienna, Austria. Let me just say this. It's not for the Blacks. I was there for 3 whole days, and guess how many Black people I saw? 3 total. And one of them was me in the mirror. And don't even get me started on the food. Bland, dry, unseasoned. Y'all know I try to give European food a chance, but at this point, it's a losing battle. If you love museums and architect, Vienna is cute or whatever. But if that ain't your thing, baby, there's nothing else for you here. Nothing. I was just out there existing. So why did I even go? Child, I was just trying to be different. Step out my comfort zone. But let's just say I stepped right back in. Vienna, checked off the list, never again. Is this a place you would try?
So you've seen that. And again, as I said, I don't know if the Black Fatigue video is out yet or if the Carnival Cruise video is out yet. But in those videos, I brought up the term of cultural capital, and it applies also to social capital, financial capital, etc., etc. And it is basically a set of rules and norms regarding behaviors and even speaking patterns and cultural standards, right? And even to some degree, we can say thinking patterns, ways of thinking. Because in my personal opinion and in my direct experience, the vast majority of the human population needs to be told who to be and what to think and how to behave. And if left to their own devices, a large majority of human beings will not be able to function in the world properly. But I will not go too in depth with the points that I made in those videos. Otherwise, this video will be outrageously long. But what I wanted to say just based on this video is I do not like this type of person, period, regardless of what color they are. But as a Black person that has lived overseas for years, and as a Black person that has lived in a country that has a very large ethnic majority, and as a Black person that speaks another language, I speak a second language probably 4 or 5 hours a day. I self-studied the language myself after moving here. I don't like these types of people on a multi-level. And if you listen to this video, I want to ask you if you heard what I don't like about this type of person specifically. Did you hear it? So in a minute, I'm going to play the video again and I'm going to pause it and I'm going to go down point by point by point what I didn't like about this person. But in my other videos on Carnival Cruise and Black Fatigue, I brought up how people use a bunch of different things about other people in order to make judgments about them. On the surface level, people use skin color, but they also use the way that you dress, the clothes that you wear. They also use the way you style your hair, the kind of makeup you wear for women, the way you wear your nails, right? We can look at all of these different metrics and we can judge another person. And in those videos, I talked about something called uniforms. And a uniform, I mean, is the types of things you choose to wear on your body, how you choose to style your body. And that also applies to how you choose to speak and the way in which you talk. And I understand that there exists slang and different types of informal vernaculars that we all use, right? Colloquially, human beings all use slang in their own native language, right? We all have a casual way of speaking when we are around our friends. A lot of times on this video, I cuss a lot. I cuss a lot in real life, but in like a professional environment, obviously I wouldn't talk like that. And this also applies to some degree to the concept of code switching. We all code switch in many different environments just because it's normal for human beings to behave differently depending on what environment you're in and the type of person you are talking to. So I am not saying that being casual or talking in a casual manner is problematic in and of itself. But when I heard this video, I felt like it grated me because this person has multiple red flags and characteristics of people that I don't like, and specifically the types of black people that I don't like. So I want to watch this video back one more time together, and then I will stop it and I will comment on the things that I fucking feel like puts this woman in a category of person I would not talk to at all. And I want to point out why I wouldn't talk to this person.
I wouldn't go back to Vienna, Austria.
So that's the first one. Vienna, Austria. And I think that people will listen to this and say, well, Cosmic Nebula, aren't you being too strict in your criticism? And I say no. And I say no to that because if you listen to the first playback of this entire video uninterrupted, you can hear that the way in which this woman speaks, you can hear this smug, this faux educated, slightly condescending speaking pattern. And I am not criticizing her for being a black person. I am not criticizing her for quote unquote code switching. I'm not criticizing her for that. What I am criticizing her for is that speaking voice is the voice of a person that is trying to feign being more educated and more bougie than they actually are. And I don't actually, again, mind people faking it until they make it. I don't mind that. But what I don't like specifically about this type of person is that we can see just based on the way she fucking mispronounces Vienna is that she doesn't even have basic fucking education in the country that she chose to go to, right? Vienna is one of the prominent countries in Europe. It's one of the popular countries in Europe. It goes along with Rome or Paris, London, Stockholm, etc., etc. It's one of the major European cities that a lot of people tend to visit. Vienna is brought up a lot in media. You see it in movies, you see it on TV, you see it in books. And even when you do research on visiting a certain country like Austria, it would stand to reason that you would have heard the correct pronunciation of fucking Vienna, and you would have updated maybe your incorrect pronunciation of it to include the correct pronunciation. I can understand pronouncing a word wrong and then not realizing it or knowing that you don't know how to say it, but it is the ignorance and the arrogance behind pronouncing it wrong and then pronouncing it wrong very smugly while trying to give other people advice. And her manner of speaking is very condescending and I don't like it. And then on top of that, she's saying this fucking major city name incorrect. But that's not the only fucking thing. I want y'all to listen to the next part.
Let me just say this. It's not for the blacks. I was there for 3 whole days, and guess how many black people I saw? 3 total.
She couldn't pronounce Vienna properly. She talks in a very condescending, smug tone, which means she is not as educated or as cultured, quote unquote cultured, as she wants us to believe she is, right? Because the way she is talking is she's trying to sound very professional in this video. And I'm not trying to criticize that specifically because when I record my Cosmic Nebula videos, I do speak a lot more clearly and a lot more quote unquote properly in order to be easily understood because I'm talking into a microphone and that can be confusing to some people. But in real life, I would not talk maybe necessarily so formally unless I was discussing a serious topic. So I'm not criticizing that. But you can hear the smugness in her voice, her attempt to sound smarter than she is, and all the while pronouncing Vienna fucking wrong. And then on top of that, she also has this ignorant point of view about traveling to a predominantly white country on a fucking European continent, right? So it's not just her mispronunciation of Vienna. It's also her speaking tone and the way that she talks. And then on top of that is this ignorant as point of view, right? So I don't know if you have seen my Black Fatigue and Carnival Cruise video yet, like I said, but I talk about profiling. This is how people profile you. A person can seem ignorant just in speaking pattern, but then they can have intelligent things to say, right? We could initially think like, oh, this person sounds really smug or arrogant, but when I listen to them talk, they surprise my initial assumption about them. And now I am going to update my initial incorrect assumption about them. But this woman doesn't do that. When you first hear her speak, as a black person who grew up around predominantly black people in the hood, she talks like an ignorant as uneducated as black person. And then on top of that, she has this ignorant ass take. She went to a white country and she's upset she didn't see black people. And this is why, as I said in my other videos, this is why as a black person living in a country with a very small black population, whenever I see another black person, especially an American black person here, I avoid them. I don't talk to them because they make every fucking thing about race. They make everything about race. You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. You can't meet other people. You can't have any small negative experience around a black person abroad because they make every single thing about race. All black people do is talk about race and racism, but they're the ones who make every fucking thing about race more than anybody else, in my personal opinion. So that's strike fucking 2 for this woman. But we're about to get to strike 3 and strike 4 as well.
And one of them was me in the mirror. And don't even get me started on the food. Bland, dry, unseasoned. Y'all know I try to give European food a chance, but at this point, it's a losing battle.
Why would you go to another country and expect the food to taste like and be seasoned like the food in your native country? Again, you see my point? Do you see my point? She is trying to educate us about travel, right? She wants to give off the impression that she's cultured. If you go through this woman's Instagram page and you look at some of her other videos, she shoots her content and she does voiceover for all of her content in a way that she is trying to convey to us that she is a certain caliber of person. But her mindset, as we can see, doesn't match that. It doesn't match that. Her code switch is insufficient. It's giving ghetto, it's giving ratchet, it's giving uneducated, it's giving hood. And I say that as a black person raised in the fucking hood, raised under the poverty level for 18 years. That is exactly what it is giving. Her mentality is also hood. It's lower class mentality. And this, again, doesn't apply just to one color of people because the country that I live in right now, guess what? The lower classes of people here also tend to have these kind of closed-minded mentalities. It's almost as if a type of person that would be good at going to another country and traveling is somebody that is intellectually more open-minded than a lot of other people. And even the people who live here, when they go to other countries, they take food from here and they go there and then they eat the food from their home countries there, even though they're only gone for 2 or 3, 4 days. They cannot tolerate, physically or mentally or intellectually tolerate being in another country. And again, that also points to small-mindedness, lack of education, lack of culture. And it is in confliction with the image that this woman is trying to portray in her content and in her manner of speaking. And I don't really like people like that. So this speaking pattern is the uneducated, hood, fake, bougie vernacular. So she tries to sound super smart and she tries to sound really educated by telling us she would not go to Vienna, Austria, because it's not for the blacks. She tries to sound so smart, but you can hear her code switch is insufficient. She can't pronounce the words properly. She is focused on race only. She even doesn't even allow for this fucking country to have its own type of food that doesn't taste like food from her country. But she is trying to show the world how cultured and open-minded she is while being the exact fucking opposite. I don't like people like this, and I especially don't like black people like this. I don't like them. This manner of speaking, the moment I hear it, I know that I will not like you. I will not like you. And when I first saw this video, you know what the first thing I thought was? I thought, I guarantee you that this woman, she has weave in her hair, and I guarantee you she has heavy eyelashes. And in a second here, I'll show you a video of her, and she has weave in her hair, and she has heavy eyelashes. Ha! Isn't that funny? Isn't it funny how I could hear a person's voice and not see their face, and then guess what I thought they would look like just based on their voice? And I don't see anything wrong with doing that. And that is something that a lot of people do. And I think that a lot of people, regardless of your skin color, a lot of people don't realize how much subconscious information you give to other people and how they use that subconscious information to make judgments about you. I think that is often common a lot of times for black people to say that they don't get certain opportunities or certain jobs, or they can't go into certain spaces simply because the color of their skin, and it's not the color of your skin. They are also judging you based on the costume you choose to wear, the way you choose to wear clothes, the type of clothes you choose to wear, the way you choose to do your hair, your makeup, the way you choose to speak, the type of words you choose, the type of topics you talk about, how you parse and analyze information. They are judging you based on all of that too. And so when they meet a black person who looks quote unquote hood, and then you open your mouth and you only reinforce the fucking negative stereotypical perception they had of you at first, then you are not really helping your fucking case, are you? But let's get to the next part, y'all. Let's get to this next part because this part really about to piss me off.
If you love museums and architect, Vienna is...
If you love museums and architect. If you love museums and architect, it's architecture, first of all. And I think that if she had made this one mistake, I wouldn't mind. There's nothing wrong with sometimes using the wrong word. I do it all the time. Sometimes when I go back and I edit a video, I will blatantly use the wrong word like once or twice. And I'm just like, how did I not catch that? Again, it's not the point that you have done. You have said architect instead of architecture. It's the fact that you are speaking in a fake, bougie, badly code switched tone that's condescending. You are pronouncing Vienna incorrectly. You are focusing on the fact that there are no black people in Vienna when Vienna is a fucking white majority city in a white majority country. And you are complaining about the food that doesn't taste like the food from the place in which you come from. It's multiple things. And as I said in my Black Fatigue and my Carnival video, people use all of these things to make judgments about you. And they do it for all races of people, but this is what they do specifically for black people. And you can see that this woman is reinforcing back to back to back to back assumptions that a person might have about a black person by fitting literally the profile or stereotype exactly, while trying to sound smart though. This type of person, regardless of skin color, this type of person needs to stay in the United States. She needs to stay in the United States. I know right now in the world it's very popular for people to go to other countries and travel, and they feel like they're so interesting and so much more cultured and well-traveled than other people who just stayed in their home country and they don't have passports. But let me say, as a person who has lived overseas for a very long time and who speaks a second language and who has completely integrated into another culture, you do not learn that much by going to another country for a few days or a week or two. You do not learn that much by going around and looking at museums and having cultural cooking lessons like you can see here on the screen. You do not learn that much by going to another country and doing fucking zip lining, going to restaurants and taking pictures, riding horses. These are all experiences, and you do gain something from every experience that you have. But guess what? Going to that country and living as a regular person in the day-to-day life will teach you a lot more about that country than going there for a few days as a tourist and going and doing touristy things. So it does not make you that interesting, and it does not make you cultured, and you don't actually learn much by going to another country as a fucking tourist. And I really want people to please understand that. I understand that most people don't have the privilege to go and live in another country for years and immerse themselves in a culture for years. But I really want people to understand that going and living in another country for years and immersing yourself in a culture is not even remotely similar to going to a country for a few days or a couple weeks. It's not even remotely similar at all. It doesn't make you smarter. You don't really learn that much. Going to another place and looking around and hearing the native people speak their native language and saying one or two words in that language, yeah, you're not learning nearly as much as people try to pretend like they do. You're not. I remember when I first came here, I thought that I knew like so much about this country and I understood the language, I understood the people and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, well, years and years later, I realized how fucking ignorant I was. People everywhere in the world are mostly the fucking same. That's what I learned. Living overseas, people have the same complaints. They have the exact same problems in every single country. Living your daily life here is not glamorous. It's not fancy in any kind of way. And when you go to a country as a tourist, you are in a specific type of bubble and you have various tourist specific experiences. So I really want people to understand that. Stop acting like you're interesting for going to some bullshit country for a few days. This is why I don't like to travel personally, because I don't see any value in going to another country for a few days. And people say, oh, well, you can have some experiences and eat food. Yeah, I don't like having experiences. I don't like it. It took me a long time to get to the point where I realized I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like going to a museum and looking at pictures for no reason. If we can talk about the pictures and we can discuss what we're seeing and we can learn some history and we can spend a long time there and I have the opportunity to really sit there and think about it, I would like that. But I don't see the value in just walking around and looking at shit and buying shit and cooking stuff and sitting in a villa. All of that stuff for me is a waste of time because I don't like sensory experience that much. I prefer personally intellectual stimulation, which is why I have this YouTube channel and which is why this video is fucking long and I'm still talking about this video 22 minutes later. This recording now is almost 23 minutes and this video that I reacted to, the initial video, was only like a minute long. That's who I am. I don't know what brevity is. It doesn't live here. But if you can look at the screen, as I said earlier in this video, when I first saw that first video that we just watched, I thought black woman with heavy eyelashes and weave in her hair. And she did not disappoint on that stereotype. Nails, I said acrylic nails, weave in the hair, and heavy eyelashes, and she is exactly that. So I want people to understand that first of all, black people are not a monolith and black people don't have to fit a stereotype, but this is how people profile other people. And if you don't want to be a part of a fucking profile, don't go out of your way to match the fucking profile exactly. This woman didn't do any research before she went to fucking Vienna. She didn't hear the way that they pronounced Vienna on the fucking intercom at the airport. Really? She didn't hear the stewardess say welcome to Vienna when they arrived in Vienna. She didn't hear that. She didn't hear them say it properly. And I don't think that that's true. I think she did hear them, but I want people to understand how small-minded people think. This woman is probably small-minded. And I know people are gonna say, you can't judge this person based on this little short video you saw of her. Yeah, I watched her other content. She's the exact same in all her other fucking content. She thinks that she is very high class and highbrow because she goes to countries and she drinks and she stays in villas and she eats some food and talks to a couple locals. She thinks that makes her highbrow. But in my opinion, your mind is what makes you highbrow. Your mind, your mentality, the way that you think. This is why I like to talk to people and find out what they think. I don't care where you go. I don't care what you do. I don't care the kind of clothes you wear. I don't care how beautiful you are. I don't give a fuck. None of that will influence me to have a certain opinion about you. All I care about is your mind, your mentality, the way that you parse information, the way that you take in information, what you focus on, the way that you react to situations, the way that you perceive things. That's what I care about. And this type of person is a person I wouldn't talk to, because this type of person has let the hood basically seep into them and they can't get out of it. And as a black person, I know that a lot of black people like to get really upset. So a lot of black people, they like to blame stereotypes and microaggressions and generalizations about the way that people treat black people. But the reality is that people use profiles. They use profiles. And the profile for a general standard black woman in America is a black woman that has this edge of sassiness to her demeanor. This ghetto-ness, this mild ratchetness to her demeanor. She has weave in her hair. She has heavy eyelashes. She has acrylic nails. She's overweight. She has a bad attitude, right? She'll get smart with you. She'll cuss you out. People have these types of thoughts and stereotypes about black people because when they encounter black women, they get this type of behavior from enough black women to build this type of profile. And so as a black person or a person of any race, for example, if you want to kind of escape being profiled in that way, you should aim to not fucking fit the profile. And while I think that the environment that you are raised in has a big impact on who you become, you can't override your fucking environment. And I think that this kind of leads into the topic of, like, for example, talking white. A lot of black people like to say, oh, you talk white. Why? Because you fucking enunciate words properly. You use grammar properly. You use the proper words for shit, right? That's talking white. That's not talking white. I read a long time ago about speaking patterns in regards to, like, the gay vernacular, the way that gay men speak. And when I was reading about that, I learned that the way in which we speak, our speech pattern, it is an indication of the type of person that we are and the type of image that we want to create. So for a man that is gay, he talks quote unquote gay because being gay is a big part of his mentality. And so subconsciously, they start to all develop that speaking pattern. And it applies to other races as well. It applies to every race, different social classes as well. And I don't like the type of person this woman's speaking pattern says that she is. I don't like the type of person that speaks like this woman does, because we can see that it hints to her mentality. Guarantee you this woman was raised in the hood. And you can say, Cosmic Nebula, how do you know that? I know that by the way she talks. That's how I know. I know that by the way she pronounces commonly known words incorrectly. I know that by the way she talks in this fake bougie condescending speaking pattern, because in her mind it sounds really high class, because to black people it sounds high class. A lot of black people develop that speaking pattern. A lot of black women have that speaking pattern because among other black people, they think it makes them sound really high class, but it doesn't really to anybody else. It just makes you, it just points out the fact that you're a lower class. And then on top of that, she is focused on small-minded shit like race in a fucking European country, rather than focusing on whether or not people treated her poorly because of the color of her skin. That's more important. She said that Austria was not for black people just because she didn't see any other black people, not because white Austrians were rude or disrespectful to her in any way. That's a mentality fucking issue. And that mentality is attached to that voice, to that speaking pattern, to those choice of words. And this is how you get a profile, and it creates a whole fucking package. So I wouldn't want to be around this type of person. I wouldn't watch this type of person's content. I see no value in it. I see none. This is just my final personal opinion. People should consider kind of loosening the grip that American society has on people in regards to judging people based on stereotypes or generalizations. Because while stereotypes are not always true and while generalizations are not always true for 100%, generalizations and stereotypes exist for a reason. And there's no fault in considering them when engaging with other people. Even if I meet a person and I might subconsciously think that they fit into a certain category, I am still open to being wrong, and I like being proven wrong. But what I really, really don't like is when you meet a person and you categorize them a certain way and then they go out of their way to overly prove your initial impression of them and their group right. So I'm going to stop the video here. And this has been a Cosmic Nebula video, and I will see you in the next one.